What you'll also see is lots of traditional sports there. So football is still important, gymnastics, badminton, all of those. But what's different about them is that it's repackaged forms, adapted versions of it. So it's quick cricket, mini tennis, which Phil was very involved in at the LTA, quick sticks, all of those sorts of things. So again, it really challenges, particularly national governing bodies, to actually think what youngsters want is not necessarily what they think they want or what we are offering to youngsters. So talking and trying to put on the activities is really important. The next thing, and this is Phil's favourite slide, and when he did this at a staff session, there was lots of oohing and ahhing when this builds. So I don't expect you to audience participate, but you can if you want to. The other area was signposting, the way we communicate to young people. And what's been really interesting in this is that actually Sport Unlimited has told us that the traditional ways of communication, notes home, sessions in registration, reminders in school assemblies, they're still really important. They're actually really important, work really well when it's the youngsters getting up in the class registration, talking about it, or in the school assembly. But they're absolutely important, so they have to be in the signposting mixer. You can see where the R's came in. I'm glad those are. What we also know is that we've got to reach out to youngsters and embrace new ways of communicating. And again, there's a real challenge, I think, here, because what Facebook has told us and other social mediums is that youngsters really hate it when we try and invade their space. When we try and talk to them in their language, we don't get it right. And they laugh, it's funny, we're just not close enough to them. And so we actually shouldn't be using Facebook and tools like that to directly communicate to youngsters. Rather, what we should be doing is using them as a child-to-child, a young person-to-young-person tool, letting them tell their friends about the experience, inviting their friends to come and take part, selling the activity actually for us. What's also been quite powerful in some areas, it's not worked universally across Sport Unlimited, is text messaging. Text messages to remind youngsters the day before a session or the afternoon that it's starting, a well done after the session, this is what we're going to do next. That's proved important in some areas, but it's not always worked. So I guess again what this is telling us is that new forms of communication and signposting need to be in that mixer as well. And what that also then means is you just have to jumble up all those signposters. There, I made you laugh. I'm really pleased. And actually, we don't need to just forget about traditional and think of new. We've absolutely got to have that mixture. And I think that's one of there's three key learnings I take from Sport Unlimited. One is talking to youngsters, first of all, really listening. The second is signposting and using that range. The third is around incentives. And on here, if you can see them, I know it's in orange, so it's probably a little pale, are some of the top incentives. They've actually proved really important. They don't always cost a lot of money, but they do help keep youngsters on the taster sessions and, more importantly, transfer them over into regular participation. So maybe it's about getting a free tennis racket at the end of the 10 weeks, or a discount into your leisure centre, 50% off, or thing. What's also worked, actually, has been where the taster sessions build to an event, maybe a show and tell to parents and guardians, or a really good example has been around cheerleading, and I think it was in Leicester, certainly one of the bigger sports, where they actually went and did their kind of workouts and show at the start of a football match or a rugby match. That's been really powerful. And it's not, it is an incentive, but it's a very different one. One of the other things which has worked is actually having a modest charge. Most of the activities are free, and we certainly don't prevent youngsters from deprived backgrounds. We don't prevent them from coming if they don't have the wherewithal. But charging 50p a pound, particularly if you charge it up front, actually means they're more likely to come back. What it also does is says, I as an individual are valuing this session. What it's also doing is transitioning youngsters from the world of school, where everything is often laid on for free. It's on the, it's at the school site. You don't have to think. You don't even have to turn up with your kit sometimes. It's provided for you. To the world where at 16 or older, when we become adults, where you have to pay for sport. You have to make an active choice to go to a club, to go to the leisure centre, to play sport with your friends. And it's a nice staging post into that world. I'm going to end, finally, with just telling you about what we've achieved over the first 5 terms. We're about halfway into the 3-year programme, so we have data up to the end of the winter term, December last year. And over those 5 terms, the numbers have really been quite massive. Over 459,000 youngsters have accessed the taster sessions. More importantly and better, over 363,000 of them have completed the taster sessions. So they've done at least 8 out of 10 or 6 out of 8. They've regularly come back. And actually what I'm really proud of in this is that we're attracting as many girls as boys. This is one of the only programmes I've been involved with, and I've been, as Phil was saying, involved in sports since 2002, where just about the same boys as girls take part. And it's not rocket science. It is about talking to them and then trying to provide what they want. And what makes those statistics jump out even harder for me, these aren't sporty youngsters. These are youngsters like Anthony, who you heard about earlier, who may have dropped out of sport. They may be doing physical education but hating it, not doing anything after school. So they are harder to engage. And the real test is whether we keep them going in sport. And we have an impact study being undertaken for us independently by Sheffield Hallam. And the early messages coming from that, going back 6 months after the taster sessions to youngsters and asking them what they are doing, is that where a youngster has completed the taster session, so that 363,000 young people, we are transferring at least a third into regular sports participation. It's really different routes. It's less about traditional clubs. It's more about playing with your friends at a leisure centre or in the park. And again, that offers a challenge, I think, back to organisations like myself. Those numbers are very dry. There's the sort of thing politicians and people like me all too often shout out. I want to try and bring that to life by giving you just one quote. I'm going to give you a moment just to read it. Chelsea was one of the first youngsters to access Sport Unlimited on our pilot phase, when we were very green and we were very worried that things weren't going to work. But when you see a youngster who isn't sporty, has never really got involved in sport before, say something like that, that says to me that we are making a difference. And it's not just me, it's not just Sport England, it's all the providers, the very local people who make this happen, coaches, clubs, volunteers. It says to me we are making a difference, and it just underlines the importance of talking to young people. Thank you very much for listening.